Hey, buddy. Hey.
Ow.
Fucking Mike.
Yes.
Good, I'm glad we got out that recording. Okay.
Check the.
All right, here we go. Ready, guys?
Ready, set, and.
Hey, so quick disclaimer, Jose, I'm sorry, I didn't take into account the microphone stand when I set up the camera, and I didn't go back and check it, so you're gonna have that thing in your face the whole video. But on the upside is, if we finally put this into like an actual podcast format, like where you can just hear it, you don't have to worry about that. So you don't have to worry about that now if you're watching this on YouTube or some other video streaming format. And also, what is going on with the lights? Like, I don't know. It's kind of fuzzy because when we tested the lights last time, it was crisp, and now I don't know. But anyway, we'll get back to the video. I'll see my way up. Thanks.
And go.
All right, here we go. Checking connection. No connection. No. You're now live. All right. All right. Hey guys, what's going on today? We are on episode 4, and Rico's trying to figure out what is going on with his life right now. I think Rico needs a sticker bar, but that's between him, you, me, and the rest of the people here. Anyway, so to my left, I got side-eye Marvin all the way down the end. I got to the left of me, Rico. Say what's up, Rico.
What up, what up? This is Rico.
Special guest today for our 4th episode is Jose Fuentes.
Hello.
Of Obsolete Comics. And so now that we got the intros out of the way, let's roll the intro. All right, and we're back. Rico, what's going on, Rico?
What's up? What's
Tell
up?
everybody, where are we? Where are we, Rico?
This
Tell
is
people.
Rico from Reflection Comics, located in Punta Gorda, Florida. And this is the 4th episode of Reflection Comics presents Popping Through Culture. Today we have our lovely guest, Jose Fuentes.
Oh, that's me.
He is the writer, wrong. He's the creator, wrong. He is the penciler. He is the artist of the Obsoletes. How you doing, bro?
Kind of. I'm good.
Welcome, Jose. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to us on this lovely Monday, Labor Day.
Welcome, Jose, and we hope you're glad to be here
I work today.
because everybody else is talking over me, Jose, and it's like they're not being nice to me, so they're just going to keep talking and not going to let me get anything in.
It's funny.
What is he
because-
talking about?
I don't know, because it's funny because, later on when I go ahead and edit this, I'm just going to have to mute his sound. So that's okay. We're just going to keep rolling with this. Marvin, how's it going down there?
I will see you after school in the parking lot by your Hyundai Sentra.
So, Marvin, am I going to be throwing the counter on this week, or then we're going to be okay?
You've missed several counts already, sir.
Several counts up. It's going to be like ding, 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 huh? It's going to be one of those roll-ups.
But it's okay.
It's okay, because we're here, we're going to be talking. We are popping through culture, guys, and today we're going to be interviewing Jose Fuentes of Obsolete Comics. So, Jose,
Sir.
how are we doing today?
I'm good.
Okay, that was the first question. You passed.
I won.
with flying
Yes,
colors.
yes.
You passed with flying colors. Wow. Rico, what do we got today? What's on the chopping block?
Oh,
Besides Jose Fuentes talking about his comic book, we have indie comics. We're going to talk indie comics, and we're going to talk about the dreadful, the hateful, the life force sucking out of the industry, web comics.
And you know what? I'm going to have a rebuttal on all of that.
Did that hurt you a little
No,
bit?
it's okay.
Yeah.
Jose,
Sir.
so what got you into comics? So how did you start? Where did you start? And why are you doing
Let's
this?
see. Working on comics, I didn't want to work a regular job.
Awesome. Okay, I think that's a lot of us here. I think we're all kind of in the same
Right.
boat. We're trying to break out from underneath the man. I would say so. And Marvin, so harsh. Okay. Anyway, so Obsolete. How long have you been working on this Obsolete comic?
So, Obsolete is a 4-issue mini-series from Silverline Comics, and I got asked to ink in the book.
Okay.
So I've been inking in issue 1, issue 2, and I was also asked to do a cover for issue 2. And they made cover A my art.
Okay, awesome. That's great. So, with Obsolete, so obviously you started, you didn't just start doing, comic creating. So
No.
how long have you been drawing? How long have you been inking, as they say?
So inking, I've been doing it for 20-ish years, maybe a little less.
Okay.
I did it on my own, trying to get small independent jobs here and there. And then when me and my family moved to Florida, and I put my wife through school, when she was done, she was like, "What do you want to do?" I was like, "I don't know, like work in a factory until I die." She said, "No, really, what would you want to do if you had your choice to do whatever you want?" And I told her I wanted to go to the Cuber school. And so we did. I sent in my portfolio, I got in, and
So for the people that are unaware of the Kubert School, can you explain that?
Yeah.
What is the Kubert School?
the Joe Kuber School of Cartoon and Graphic Arts is a comic book specific art school. It's a 3-year intensive program in New Jersey.
Okay.
And you have to submit your portfolio. They'll do a portfolio review, and if they like what you've done, like what you've turned in, or feel that you have potential to grow and learn at the school, then they'll accept your application.
Nice. So, was that a grueling process? Or was that a first one done, or did you have many different trials?
No.
What was your experience?
I knew going into it that there was no plan B for me. That I'm going to do this. I'm going to graduate school, and then I'm going to figure out a way to work on comics.
Awesome. I'm glad you bring that up, because I think too many people go into, trying to follow their dream with, well, I have a backup job, so if this doesn't pan out, I don't know, I'll keep working the 9 to 5 until I die. But you didn't go through that approach. You went through like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to accomplish, and you went for it. I'm really excited for you.
Well, I have a really good support team. My mother-in-law, my father-in-law, they were very pivotal in helping me, helping my family and I make sure that things work smoothly. And because we lived in Pennsylvania and I went to school in New Jersey, it was cheaper to live in Pennsylvania and make an hour commute one way than it was to live in New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, usually that's what it happens. Especially you said in Poconos.
Yep, we're in the Poconos.
You know what? Last thing I remember about Poconos was those Poconos commercials was I think the champagne glass, right? Right. Oh, go.
That particular weekend hotel.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. That was about 5 minutes from my house.
Oh.
Every time we went by it, I just cringed.
So you didn't go in the champagne
Nope,
glass?
no, sure didn't.
Jacuzzi.
No, thank you.
Oh. So awesome. So okay. So we established that you went to the Cuban school, so you actually have some formal training.
Yes, sir.
You've been doing this for 20 years so far, right?
Roughly
20 years.
here and there, and then after I got out of school, and my last year of school was during the start of COVID.
Oh.
So my last year of school, I actually had to do via the internet. We did webcams into classroom and everything.
Oh, okay. So during doing that online, I know that's been a real sore subject on a lot of people. People trying to go back to work and everything. How was that, and compared to being in person?
So
sketching,
I
right?
didn't like it nearly as much, because I liked the idea that I could sit down with my teachers and they would bring a piece of tracing paper and go over where I would have tweaked this here and tweaked that there. It was just the hands-on is just so much better. For me anyway, to learn. You know what I mean? From people who have been doing it for 30 years, and doing it online, it's still kind of the same. I had, we had to take a picture of our pages and send them in. You asked about whether it was grueling and whatnot. I think my first week I had to have 5 pages of sequential art done in the first week, when you're not used to doing that, maybe a page every week or two. And then all of a sudden you're slammed with having to get everything done. It was interesting to say the least.
Okay. So, as an artist, someone that's doing their own book, what do you recommend for people that are up and coming, to trying to get into the business?
It would depend. Are they doing it on their own, making their own book, or are they trying to work for a company? Because if you're trying to work for a company, you need a portfolio. And if you want to get paid to do, not so much getting paid, but if you want to work on sequential art, you need to have sequential art in your portfolio. I've seen from several people where they've at conventions, they brought their stuff to me to look at, and it's pinups. You know what I mean? Pinups are great. Pinups make great covers, but if you want to do sequential art, show you doing sequential art. And one of the first things that my editor will tell you is make sure it's on the right paper. Yep. You know, the standard for working on comics is 11 by 17.
Okay.
You know, and if you're not doing that, if you're doing it on copy paper, which is 8.5 by 11.
Okay, so I can't hand you like a napkin. That'd be no good.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how Chris Backlow did the cover for Meltdown. They asked him to do a cover, so he took a Sharpie marker and just roughed it out on a napkin and turned it in.
Wow. Okay.
And then that evolved. Like, if you ever read the book Meltdown, find it. It's awesome. I think it's from Image, I believe.
Image.
But
okay.
yeah.
How about we let the fans know? Sorry, I've been trying to do something else right now.
I've been trying to figure out. Rico.
Yeah, I can't find the live on my laptop, but let's get over that.
I think Marvin Side Eye over there has it pulled up.
Okay, great. Because I
Marvin,
want to make sure.
Let's get a little feedback.
I want to make sure I can respond to you guys. You know.
There's one person that said, "I hate Chris' hair."
Is it because it's not fitting in the shot? Is that what's going on?
Other than that, that's about it. You know. So yes, they hate Chris' hair. Go ahead.
What is one of the hardest things about creating a comic book? Everyone thinks they can do it until they sit down and they realize that they don't even know where to begin. They don't know how to create characters. They don't know how to make a fluent storyline. Or, like you were talking about, they don't even know what's the correct style of paper to use.
Right.
Well, what are the hiccups in making a comic and how to avoid those as well?
I think it depends on the stage that you are trying to do a book at, right? So if you're trying to write a book, you want, and mind you, I'm not a writer, but you want to be able to write a compelling story that isn't shooting off veins in a bunch of different directions. You want to keep your story, you know what I mean, on the same path. You may have like flashbacks or other just world building like details and stuff like that. But like in regards to writing, you know, you want to keep your story, you know, concise. For pencils, keep it simple, you know. Yes, work on the proper size paper, and if you don't, you can work your way around it. But like it's so much easier to do it on the proper size paper that way, because then you can just scan it in, send it to the printer, you're good to go, or whoever the next stage is. If you're doing, like I said, pencils, keep it simple. Detail is great. I love detail. I'm a huge fan of Lee Bermejo. But I also like some simple art. There are comics that have like almost no background, and those are great. I think it was Little Monsters has very simple backgrounds.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But it's a great story. Like you can definitely tell story action with characters. Inking, don't go too heavy. You know your spot blacks. Know your line weights. You know what I mean. These are things that I learned these things before I went to art school, but you have to want to put the work in to go find the information sometimes. You know, when you learn about inking, you want to learn about using line weights, using ink washes. 'Cause that's what I use. I like using ink washes. Sure. But that's stuff like you have to ask people. Mm-hmm. So you asked, what's the hardest part? For me, it was asking people for help. Gotcha. It was asking, like, I don't know how to do this. I don't quite know how to find it online. Let me ask someone. You know what I mean? But it took a while for me to get to that point where I was like, you know, I should ask them. Like, people are willing to share. Like, other creators, for the most part, are willing to share the information they have, and they'll take their busy time to help you.
Well, I'm glad there's no gatekeeping, you guys. You know?
Mm-hmm. No, not for the most part. So, there are some, but.
So you mentioned some other artists before a few minutes ago. So who's really inspired? What's your inspiration? Like, who's like someone you look up to as far as artists?
So
don't say Marvin McDonald because then
you've met him, dude. He's awesome.
He's this guy.
He's all right. You know, I think the name of his character is like called Pinhead, or you know, or pool ball, or
Red Hood knockoff. I'm not sure.
Oh man! Oh shit! Marvin,
so what's going on, man?
How you doing down there?
Oh, I'm doing quite well, sir. Go on with your abuse. I'll see you in the parking lot as well after school. No, I'll take you after lunch. Then
right.
Chris after school.
Pace yourself.
I'm going to pace myself.
He's going to take you out for lunch?
He's going to take me out to lunch.
Oh, nice.
Like,
I like cheeseburgers.
In regards to people that like inspire me and people like, I would say Todd Knock is one of them. I'm a huge Todd Knock fan. Just his lines are simple. His style is like, you know, it's a comic book style. You know, when you a lot of like back in the day, the old EC comic stuff that was very, very heavily rendered.
Okay.
But then you hit to like 80s and 90s, you know, pouches and.
Got it.
But Todd Knox, like to me, has kept his style consistent, and it's just a really great like story to read. And he does great with faces, like expressions. And then I've mentioned to Rico before, one person that was like pivotal to helping me learn how to ink, specifically digitally inking, is Afua Richardson. Like for years, I've called her my mentor. She taught me how to digitally ink over AOL Instant Messenger. She would take screenshots and then like write a tutorial and send it out to me.
Okay, awesome.
She's a good artist.
So-
Shout out to you.
Yeah. So, what you mentioned digitally? What kind of programs do you use, or what do you recommend? What do you recommend to stay away from?
For inking, I learned how to ink digitally on AOL Instant Messenger or AOL Instant Messenger. Hello, Adobe Illustrator.
Okay.
Right. But I use Adobe Illustrator, but I've learned to use Clip Studio Paint.
Okay.
Or Clip Studio Pro to do inks because you can do both raster and vectored layers together. Like instead of just Illustrator allows you to just do vectored layers, and you can do gradients and stuff like that, but it doesn't come out nearly as well to me. With Clip Studio, you're able to even incorporate like watercolor brushes. So if you wanted to give like a watercolor effect on some texture in the background of your paneling, you can do that with Clip Studio.
Got it. Okay. Marvin, what do you use then? Are you still using Microsoft Paint?
Sam's Club or Mike?
Well, it's just teeing up on the old guy at the end of the table day. Well, I'm gonna stick with the program because afterwards it's just gonna be sound effects. Lights gonna go out and just gonna be people getting beat up. But you know, if you're gonna poke the bear, keep on poking that bear, man. But I'll tell you what I use though, and I'm gonna use my country voice. Gonna get you, you some bitch. But I use Illustrator sometime and Procreate, but I mostly use Photoshop. I like to draw actually straight into Photoshop. I use the Wacom 24 HD tablet,
Nice.
and I just go straight into it with Photoshop a lot of times. So, but Procreate is also good, and Illustrator's, like I say, Illustrator's good too. But if you want to do the gradient stuff, you want to fade and shade and stuff like that, I really like doing it in Photoshop. I'm really handy with that in Photoshop.
Photoshop's a good one, especially if you're incorporating color.
Yeah,
Photoshop is
exactly.
huge, and no, it's not just used for photo manipulation. But yeah,
carving up
that's what
black
I was
eyes.
taught. Yeah, right.
Don't worry, I still use Excel to crop out background. So I mean,
Well, I have a question for the both of you guys, two indie comic book artists. AI. How do you guys feel about? Like, I've seen a couple comic books that have been drawn based off of AI.
I'll shut the light off if you want to hit them.
I'm not gonna do it. No, yeah.
How you guys feel about it?
I don't fret nothing about AI because that's just computer generated. You'll never be able to beat the human imagination. You'll never be able to beat human creation. That whole creativity that comes straight from what you might see drawn perfect or something like that. That hiccup that I might have done in mine makes it unique and stuff. You'll never be able to beat that. You know what I'm saying? That's just like when they mass produce certain things. People will still pay high money for handcrafted stuff. So you're still gonna pay for that.
Especially
You know what
if
I'm
they
saying?
can watch you do it.
Exactly.
But like, when it comes down to AI, I believe it's cheaper, and it's quicker. And for indie artists, it that lowers the cost on what it takes to produce a comic book and the time. So
yeah. So you were saying, sorry to interrupt you, Rico. Marvin was talking about the imagination of the people. I mean, really, AI is all about like, if I imagine something, like for instance, I dream in Technicolor. I dream like I'm in an action Michael Bay movie all the time, but I'm not a writer. I'm not that creative. Like my mind runs a mile a minute. But I went into ChatGPT and I gave it a prompt and I told it what I wanted, and it gave me like a 10-chapter story. I said, give me 10 chapters based off of X, and then you can build off of it. So like, do you feel like
If it was
the
not
AI
for-
art would eventually oversecede? Or
Exactly. They still
go
take
over, like,
AI.
what you guys are doing?
Yeah.
If it was not for actual artists, you wouldn't have AI art.
Exactly. They still take
The AI art is a compilation of art from various people that get pulled into, let's say, an algorithm, like put into a mix, and then pumps out the picture, but it's all like you can. There are several artists that have done it. They've gone and used the prompts and created art, and then they can actually go through and
You
pick.
wouldn't have AI.
This was from this person's style. This one's from this person's style. So if you don't have traditional artists or even digital artists, you won't have AI.
So basically, AI is just mimicking other art styles.
really is, yeah.
And calling it your own.
Yeah. And that's basically exactly what it is. Just like I said, as long as handcrafted stuff will never go out of fashion, never go out of style, and you're going to pay more for it because it's not something just duplicated in a factory over and over and over and over again. So you're going to still have to have that creativity. If you lack creativity, then there could be no AI. So without us, there's no that.
So I guess this is a perfect segue into what indie comics.
Indie comics.
Let's talk about some indie comics.
Let's talk about indie comics. What we got on your wall here? Wall of comics, Rico.
There's one great one.
We got
Two great ones.
Well,
we got Artificial #1, right?
yeah, which is based off of AI.
Oh,
That comic book is based off of AI. The cover itself is, I wish I had it at arm's reach right now. Sorry about that. Artificial is based off a famous painter. Oh my goodness, I'm having a brain fart
Gogh?
right now.
Van Gogh.
Thank you, Vincent Van
He's
Gogh.
literally on the cover, my guy.
Yeah,
We
true.
have, two artists. I would hope they would know that.
Vincent Van Gogh.
Vincent Van Gogh on the cover.
And is the cover is done with the centerfold is AI. And it's basically drawings of them looking at this abomination of what AI is. And throughout the comic book, Vincent Van Gogh is basically living his life the way he would historically before he tries to off himself, and then boom, he gets, swept into this future, different dimension world like universe where AI literally took over. And he meets up with two other historic artists, and it's basically a race against time on how to stop AI. And it's just ironic that the originators of what classic art is going up against.
So it's basically the Matrix.
Based around
Oh,
art.
wow. Yeah. Yes. Chris O'Hara.
Sorry,
It's a great comic, I promise you. But I don't know. That's also what I'm looking forward to issue 2 to that. It's a cool story. It's one of the, I would say, indie comics that I think has a good potential, has a high potential of doing a lot, and it can go a lot of different directions. Outside of that, I'm not saying I don't really stick with indie comic books. It's just, I don't know. I do like mainstream comics. I guess I'm a. Why do?
With 2 independent comic books.
Yeah,
I know, right?
I don't
Well,
Someone's
I also
gonna
like
get that.
Disney World, but you don't see me, going, hey, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck.
I don't know, sir. I see a Spider-Verse up there with a duck on it.
Yeah, 100 Years of Wonder. That's what. But I would say that the reasons why I do like indie comics and appreciate them more is the freedom of saying what you want to say, the freedom of drawing what you want to draw, and not having a corporate mindset governing how much of your artistic ability or writing style that you can use to basically contort yourself to what is on the news or what's going on in society. I think that is really putting a crutch and is stunting the growth of what imaginations and creativity can be. And how do you feel about it as not a writer or artist, but just a comic book reader?
Just a guy with hair. Go on.
Just the guy with hair. You mean, it's really all about who's on the cover. And if they have a lot of hair, then I like to read it. But if they have no hair, then I usually just skip over it.
That would be every kiss comic.
I think that's the next 3 comics. I just skip over. I'm like, no, that's okay. So we'll just go into Between Might and Magic. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Times are coming.
I'm really excited for like all the indie artists and indie comics that are coming up because, it's going to really push into like the, break out of, the norm of where, Wolverine and, Spider-Man and Green Lantern and everything. So you're getting to get these new characters, where people can, I think we talked about this in another episode, where we can actually, the new artists that are coming around, and have new ideas instead of stuck with the norm characters and just rehashing and then like, oh, let's do an incursion and then you just okay, we're rebooting. But now we're gonna have a whole new set of characters, new whole set of people that we can fall in love with, and I think that's great. I think it's great for the culture. I think it's great for the community in large, and I think we have to try to like highlight all these people that are coming out and around, except for Marvin, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, so okay, next. After Artificial, we got a few comics here we're gonna talk about. I want to talk about and highlight some of these guys on here. So after Artificial, we're gonna jump right into Between
Between Magic and Dreams.
Between Magic and Dreams.
It sounded like you were trying to say between like Marvin and Dreams. It's okay though.
Oh my goodness.
Freudian slip.
Magic and Dreams. So yeah, we're talking about so Between Magic and Dreams started as a regular novel, right?
Yeah.
So it started as a regular novel, full hardback, written by
Brian D. Covington.
Brian D. Covington. Amazing guy, great guy. If you have a chance to ever meet him, he's super passionate about his stuff. He's super passionate about what he's creating, and like everything that he puts into it, it just extrudes like that creativeness. And then now that he has that tie-in comic and everything, it's really brings all those different components into something else. And then now, so instead of having just have the words, now you have pictures in front of you, because in case you don't have that great of imagination, but now you have pictures, right? So, Rico, let's talk about Marvin. What do you think about that? Have you read that? Okay, back to Rico.
Yes, I have read Between Magic and Dreams. Meanwhile,
Go ahead.
it's a fast-paced comic, very vibrant and rich color, and you don't see that in a lot of mainstream comic books. Honestly,
No.
you don't. If I was to give any kind of downplay on the comic book, I want more. Give me more. That's about it, honestly. So I guess I don't have anything.
More coming. Like,
He has more coming. I need it now. I want to read issue 3 now.
Not even just the story. The story's cool. Like, I appreciate it, right? But
Yeah.
he's making a point also that he's creating a gallery in it. Like he has several artists that have
Yeah,
like
like-
put in stuff.
yeah.
He loves the idea of like having extra art and whatnot for people to look through when you're flipping through and everything.
Yeah, and I believe he has like a playlist that goes along with the story. Like you
Yeah.
can actually
Yeah.
download the playlist, which is pretty cool. I don't think I've ever seen someone do that. That has like a tie-in
Yeah.
thing, as opposed to like a soundtrack that's like okay, I'm watching a
That's
movie.
what it is, right? Like,
Original soundtrack to the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Original soundtrack. So Jose, let's talk about obsoletes.
okay.
While we're here, I think that's the next one on the wall here that we're staring at.
All right, let's talk about
Obsolete.
it.
What is obsoletes?
Obsolete
It's
is
not
about.
about a book that's obsolete. We're not going to talk about.
Oh
it.
man, I hope not.
Do you know what the book is about? Have you read it yet?
I've looked at it. I've skimmed a couple pages or so.
Okay.
It's
What do you think about the artwork?
I like it.
Are you trying not to
I
talk
can't
about
say
it
that.
though?
No. So it's not mine. So issue 1 and 2 and are penciled by Aaron Humphreys, right? And he did also half of issue 3, and then he couldn't finish it, right? So I'm going to be taking over pencil chores and inks for the remainder of issue 3 and all of issue 4.
Wow. So you're straight old school in it. You're doing
Yes,
you're doing the
sir.
penciling and the inking.
Yes,
Okay.
I will. But I'm passionate about the book. Like I said, it's about 3 mercenaries. They go out and they work for like this terraforming company, and they finish a job. They get ready to go back. They go into hypersleep. Somebody messes up, and they end up like sleeping for 20 years. They get back to their home planet, and they're like, "Hey, we want to get paid for the job we did." And they're like, "No, we have somebody else to do the job for you." So the entire story of the 4-issue miniseries is that they're trying to prove that they're not obsolete in a world that kind of left them behind.
The Obsolete. Is there?
So I'll take a picture later on.
Yeah, it is a sci-fi book. Like, it's the spaceships, there's aliens, and there's robots.
Okay.
Is this a book that kids can read?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's a book that kids
So
can
it's
read.
It's a kid friendly book.
It is.
It's for the family.
It is. There's a family in the storyline. It's pretty cool. Like there's a twist, like just plot
And-
connection between the obsoletes, between the three main characters and their replacements. Like
And,
there's a really neat connection between them.
And by chance, like, where can they pick the Obsolete issue 2 up at?
Oh, there's a shop called Reflection Comics. You guys
Oh,
may have heard of it. You guys
Oh,
may have heard of
Located. Where is it?
it. Right?
Yeah, where's that located at?
I don't know, somewhere over a bridge that got flooded. Punta Gorda, Florida. I believe it is also at Coliseum and Comics in Orlando.
Nice.
I believe. And if it isn't, it's going to be soon.
So, hopefully sooner or later I can get you down here to Reflection Comics and we can do a signing, we can have a meet and greet, you can meet some of the fans, and maybe sooner or later I'll also get the creative hardcore down here whenever if he's not too busy.
Yeah, he's always
You
busy.
know.
That guy's got a lot of things going on, though.
Yeah.
so.
Meanwhile, on the other side of Gotham.
Yeah, that'd be really cool if I can get you guys down here to the shop and people can meet you guys and get
Well, sir, I'm going to speak up for that guy from the hardcore from that Swerve Comics. I know him. He's a great guy. He used to have nice hair, better than Chris's and Rico's put together, like an ultra perm. There is possible. But he wants to come down soon to do a signing day to meet fans and everything here at Reflection Comics. This place is awesome. Back to you, Chris, in the studio.
All right, Marvin. So,
All right. So we're talking about independent comics, and I think we're really passionate about independent comics here. Obviously, we have two independent artists here, but also as a reader, we're really passionate. Rico, myself, we're passionate about reading those new stories, being able to read new characters and fall in love with new people. Because I have PTSD with my old one, so there's that. And going back and forth and knowing which verse or version Spider-Man I'm reading at the time. I'm like, is this the main continuity or not? But
Yeah.
at least you don't have to deal with that anymore.
And it's up in the air. It's up in the air
Yeah,
all the
so
time.
That's another cool thing about indie comics is very straightforward. You're not going to get multiple obsolete comics. You're not going to get multiple hardcore comics.
Not yet.
With multiple different multiverses of these
Right.
people. You're going to get one straight up storyline that goes forward, and it's going to allow you to really get to have a connection with the character. And through that you can see the writer, the craftsmen who create this comic book. You can see how they grow and mature throughout every issue, opposed to mainstream comics where you have multiple people writing for Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Lost Hunt, yada yada yada, Uncanny's now, and they're all writing about the same character, but it's always drawn differently. The writing's always off or maybe spot on, but you can't read them all, and it gets to the point where you're missing out on certain things on one storyline because you want to focus on this, and by the time you want to jump on a particular universe of, let's say, the Amazing Spider-Man, now you're too far behind.
Yep.
You don't even want to pick up on it. True. But with indie comics, you're going to get issue 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. Mm-hmm. It's not going to reboot. It's not going to come out with a brand new version of itself in a different multiverse, like I already said. Yeah. But one new indie comic that I sold out of is coming from Whatnot, and I think I put you onto it. The robots. Astrobots. Really cool comic book.
Yeah.
I would show you, but I can't keep them in the store. And I'm looking forward to issue 2, 3, and 4. I believe it's a 5-part series.
I don't remember off the top of my head. Don't look at me like I know stuff.
I believe, because I know I pre-ordered them all with all variants, and I believe it's a 5 or 6-part series. And then once that ends, you're going to have the same universe, but a different storyline, a different situation, not a storyline, but a different problem, or different solutions, and I guess you could say a different storyline. But it's going to pick up right where the previous 1 through 5 left off. And I think that's the cool thing about indie comics, that, mainstream comics, they need to take a back seat and just take some notes on it.
Sure.
I will say, for in regards to indie comics, like one of the reasons like I really like working for Silverline Comics is that they have a lot of books. You know, they put out a lot of books, and it's consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most of them are miniseries of some sort right now, but like I appreciate that personally. Like, and even when if you get to the point to collecting them into trade paperbacks, you know what I mean? They're gonna be like self-contained stories. You know, like I said, I was hired to do work on a 4-issue miniseries. I'm working on another one for Silverline, Cat and Mouse,
Okay.
which is written by the publisher, the editor, Roland.
Yeah, rolling.
Yeah.
When does that come out?
I got the pencils. I'm working on the inks right now. So I think he wants next year, like the beginning of next year. So I'm working on those right now, and then I'll upload pages. But like that one's close to his heart because that one has an underlying story of against human trafficking. So something that's kind of really like taking notice with like different movies and stuff that come out. But like I really count it as like a blessing to be able to work and work with and for Roland and Silverline because it's not what kind of story are we going to put out with the big stories. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Detective Comics fan. I've been a Detective Comics fan since Mudpack storyline. Okay, but the idea that like you're working for
That's a cool story. Yeah,
it was a great storyline.
wow.
But independent books, you have the story you want to tell. You know what I mean? You, for whatever passion or anything you put into it, that is your love, that is your heart. And I feel that with, working with Roland, working with the other artists that I've worked with, working with Tommy, you know what I mean? They all do it because they love to do comics. Like, one of the first things Roland said to me was like, listen, you have to love comics if you want to do this. Getting paid is great, but if you have a love for the comics, then it's going to show in your artwork, and that's absolutely truth. So I appreciate Silverline. I appreciate Roland, man. Seriously, it's my first real job out of art school. So,
Well, I have a question for both you guys, Marvin and Jose. Yeah,
Wow.
as two indie artists, if you could put yourself in a position to be in a mainstream comic book, no one in particular, just what would you bring to the table that would push the movement?
Get out of my head because I was going to ask that.
Right?
what are we talking? Are we
I
talking
got good
like
questions today.
Be a little bit more specific.
Yeah, are we talking
Well-
like DC or like in like the big ones like that? Because
Yeah,
honestly,
like mainstream Marvel. Let's just do that. I know, and I say that because one, I know for a fact you guys are both DCs. You guys like DC Comics over Marvel, even though I know your first comic was Spider-Man. But you seem, based off your writing and your artwork, I just assumed that you dig DC a little bit more because you have more of a dark, intimate storyline.
So that's part of my childhood. I'll talk to you about that later.
right, that's the trauma of the childhood.
Okay, well then, all right, question for you first, Marvin. If you can go into Marvel Studios, into, the bullpen, and produce a Marvel comic, what would you bring to the table that they aren't doing already? Or what you think?
I would take the politics out.
Yeah.
I would take the current politics out and give you, because most of the time when you read any kind of comic book or story, you want to be taken away from reality and transcended into another plane, and that story can take you there. You know what I'm saying? Now, if it does have some politicking and stuff, it's based upon the fantasy world which you've created. You know what I'm saying? It's enough dealing with the real world in the real world. Go read something else that will take your mind off of that. That's just like when you come home, do you sit there and still think about work? No, you don't. When you come home, I'm home now. It's a transition. And so that's what I would do. I would most definitely pull a whole lot of that politicking and stuff out of there, because most of the time people like the comics because Superman can fly. You know what I'm saying? And Batman has an endless amount of money that I don't have, and that makes me angry. And and that the Hulk gets mad, and the madder he gets, the stronger he gets. So there's nothing can stop him. You know what I'm saying? It gives you a chance to step outside that norm.
The Hulk's just mad because Tony's got a bunch of money.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? But you want to step away from reality, and that's what that book does. When you read a book, it transforms you from the mundane, the everyday, to something that's totally different, and it brings you into that. So while I'm a work real world stuff, I'm stuck back in the same track. I'm still here. I didn't go nowhere. It's like, damn, You know, that's like when you watch a good movie, you get into it, you be like, yo, are you watching a good show? You get immersed into it like the first 7 seasons of Game of Thrones. We don't claim 8. What happened? I don't know. But when that first started out, it started out kind of slow. But once it built up, you know, and you got like to the red wedding and everything, you
There's
was
a
like,
lot of world
wow.
building. That's
Yeah.
the whole begin.
That's the whole thing of
Is
it.
world building.
Yeah, it's world building, and you seeing different people, different tribes, different cultures, and everything going on. So that's really cool. You know, you don't want to turn it like, well, oh, you know, that's from they're talking about this guy in politics. You're talking about that chick in politics. I don't want to hear that. If I want to hear that, I will turn your show off and turn on the news.
Listen,
You're dropping some real knowledge on you guys.
was it?
Jay Jack said, "Amen, Marvin."
See?
Exactly.
Yo, Rick,
Right?
what are you doing, man? You're supposed to be paying attention to that stuff.
He was preaching,
He
bro.
was ranting. You rant? You got your rant out?
I
You kind of. But I liked it. It was good.
I'm about to stand up with that Baptist
Mr.
fan.
Fuentes, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You're not a writer, right?
I am not a writer.
So if you can go to Marvel Studios, how would you write for Marvel? Because right now, I'm not saying any particular storyline, you know, maybe amazing, something about amazing. The storyline is off. Like it's just not good. It's coming around, but it didn't start out. It took 31 issues for Amazing Spider-Man to be good. And how would you have prevented that?
Okay.
Just from your own
My
words.
favorite storylines were storylines that were askew from the regular timelines, right? So, like for DC Comics, almost all the Elseworld tales were my favorite storylines. So,
Okay.
I liked, was it House of M? House of M was actually kind of cool,
Okay.
right? For the most part.
was good.
Yeah. Age of Apocalypse. Those were those were deviations from the particular line. And if you ever read Age of Apocalypse, because the whole M Conquer Stone and all that. Anyway, I would have to do something that was separate, a separate parallel running with characters. Because then you, when you do something like that, you have the option of taking like, oh, Spider-Man, MJ, Aunt May, blah, 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 you know, Uncle Ben. And then you can turn and twist that into something different and still make the characters lovable.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, that's for Marvel.
What about DC? You're a bigger fan of DC than you are Marvel.
Man.
And so, like, is there any? Do they have any like flaws in your
DC?
by your perspective?
Oh yeah.
When it comes to
Well,
artwork, writing,
again, like Marvin said, politics. Take the politics out.
yeah.
There's other aspects that I don't like about the more mainstream comics because I don't like when things change. You know what I mean? Stop changing characters that have established backgrounds and make new characters.
Yeah.
Make new characters.
characters.
I can't even be mad
Exactly.
if you make a new character, new background, and stuff like that. Like I think it's great. That just means that creativity is actually being like spilled into comics again.
Sure.
But if you're just taking the same character, oh, we're gonna give Spider-Man 6 more arms. We're gonna give or 4 more arms. We're gonna make Iron Man drunk again. You're not you're just rehashing old stuff. You're
last
what I
episode of Spider-Man, he went from, you remember how he had 6 extra arms?
Yeah.
Well, now he basically is half Spider-Man, half Dr. Octopus.
Yeah. See. No.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I know people.
Right? Like,
I know people like
Spider-Puss.
that. But like if I could bring and keep a book running in DC, it'd probably be Young Justice. Young Justice was so again Todd Knock doing the artwork.
That was good.
Young Justice was such a great story. Like I collected every issue of it. I loved it.
Yeah.
I did it for Todd Knock's art to begin with, but then as I'm sitting there flipping through the story, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And then they came out with Sins of Youth, and that was a like Young Justice crossover with the rest of the DC universe, where all the adult superheroes became little kids, and all the Young Justice and Teen Titans grew up and became adults. That was a great storyline.
Marvel's doing that, and I didn't like it. Like the whole Gambit and Young Storm. I know what. I don't remember exactly what issue, but it was in.
Didn't they make her go back or something like that? Like,
yeah, and it was
revert her
just
back?
they did that in the 90s,
Yes.
and I didn't like that
yeah.
either. Like, I don't understand why they want to take these dominant characters and alter them. Maybe because, like you, I don't like change. I like consistency when it comes to my comic books. and I just don't want to see a toddler X-Men.
Right.
You know, if I want to read about any kid in a comic book, let it be Peter Parker. He's like the Peter Pan of Marvel. He never.
Well, what did I
grows
tell
up.
you before? When you had was it Laura Kinney? You know, the female Wolverine, right? X-23. When she
Yeah.
came out, she was a little girl. She was like what,
Yeah.
maybe 10, maybe 12, right? And then within the span of a year, they aged her to a full adult. And I'm like,
And then they tried to make her the new Wolverine.
Yeah.
It's like, so you had two Wolverines running around the Marvel
Or
universe.
Miles aged Miles like way fast. Like
And-
Peter Parker was like what,
Well, not just that.
18, 19, 20 for like 30 years.
I don't remember what issue it was, but Miles Morales died not too long ago.
What
Eh,
universe was that?
exactly.
Yeah, right.
Was that a what if? Or
Who
was that-
knows?
No, that was.
So
Oh my
that he
goodness!
was
I just read it
everybody
the other
that
day.
Power
Oh my
Forward
god!
and all
Yeah.
the other stuff, and it's
It's
like,
just
where-
such
where-
But
it's so
where you going with
convoluted,
it?
man.
Yeah.
What up, Chris? I haven't heard your voice in a while.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't see you guys. Say something down there?
How you doing? Talk to us.
Yeah, no, I'm just listening to you guys. You know, I think I did a little talking. I was heavy talking in the beginning, so I was like,
Yeah,
you know,
you were.
you know, so I kept getting the side eye. The side eye count, everything's up to like 78 right now.
Million.
Yeah, I think we blew it past. But no, you were mentioning about the kitty stuff, and then now because I have a little boy myself, and he watches Spidey and his friends.
Yeah.
and it's
Well,
like
yeah.
they're like 12-year-old kids, not even like 10-year-old kids. It's like when we grew up watching Marvel shows or DC, Batman, whatever, all that stuff.
Spider-Man is an amazing friend.
Yeah,
Super
but-
Friends.
Yeah,
Super Friends, but they were adults, and we saw them as adults. But now they're like trying to make everything, this kitty and
Right.
wash out the whole
Which
thing.
doesn't bother me, except for they've changed some of the names. Like I think Miles doesn't go by Miles in
Spin.
that. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
goes by Spin.
Yeah.
So Spidey, Spin, and then Ghost.
Ghost.
Yes.
Which doesn't bother me. Like I actually liked X Babies when the X Men went and got, or Mojo created the X Babies, and there was a whole storyline in there.
But that was just a storyline.
And you know-
and
that was
it went
yes.
back though.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah,
know
that
what?
storyline,
Yeah.
like they got mutated or converted or time warp, but that was part of the storyline. It wasn't
Yeah.
like
Right.
something else. So and then I was just looking to figure out a good segue into our next topic of webcomics.
And I've been trying to avoid that.
You
I
right?
know, I see.
I saw you
Okay,
kept
I see
going
you
on.
Yeah. So, honestly, if I feel as though if they decide to, kid down superheroes, Scotty Young would be the best artist for that series.
So you didn't go into webcomic.
I know I didn't.
Yeah, I know, I see. Okay.
So I'm going to take it off air. Webcomics, guys. I mean, webcomics. I think Rico over here. He's going to try to throw a chair or something like that about webcomics. But webcomics.
You know what I think is awesome? I love the fact that indie comics
So
don't.
we're gonna mute you.
So webcomics. I mean, everything webcomics has to start somewhere. I think one of the most predominant one that I think comes to mind for a webcomic would be One Punch Man. Where you got shake your head over there. What?
Sorry, I can shake my head if I want to. It's free country. Get over there.
What are you doing right now? What are you doing? Because I hate this subject.
Hey, listen.
We voted on this. Remember
Yeah,
that?
I know.
Yeah, we know that. It's okay.
It's just I want to talk about it.
So let's
I
talk
do.
about
want-
it.
Talk about it.
Peel the
But I don't-
Band-Aid, Rico. Just peel the Band-Aid.
Just peel the
What
Band-Aid.
makes you upset about webcomics? Let's start with that.
Comics?
And then we'll do the rebuttal.
Comic book shops are a historic landmark, at least to us. Web comics take that out. It takes it out of the equation. It completely takes comic book shops out of the equation. What am I gonna have to do? Sell MP3 players and mod
With the
chips,
QR codes.
QR codes now. This. Ugh, where you at, man?
Anyone?
This guy right here. This is
Now
a
you-
comic book.
Wow. Now you can't tell.
Like,
me.
as long as you
I was
don't,
gonna
as
ask
long as
him
you
what
don't
book
go
that
that
was.
way, you can go this way. As long as you don't go that way.
What's your
But like this right here, everything about this is awesome. Like the fact that you can touch it, it's here. I can share it with you. It's not on a screen that big that I get to zoom in on, and it distorts the whole picture.
I want it on my computer, personally.
Even worse.
First off, that hurts my soul a little bit.
That goes beyond comic books as well too. It's a lot of people actually still want to feel that book in their hand while they're sitting like outside on their lunch break or something, they want to open that book up, because that, like, opening that book up is like open up that new world, like I was just explaining. That just letting you know, like, okay, here we go, from the crack back open into chapter 5, and it's just, if you know what that sensation feel like, and you got to also grow with the generation.
You smell them.
You know what I'm saying?
That old school
Some people want to have that stuff because everything is electronic. I need it now. I need it now. I need it now. So it's like I got to get on the phone so I can open up my book and stuff like that, and I can read it. And some people like that, but the majority of people, a lot of people, they want that book. I can kick back. I can relax with my book. Some of them like the whole thing reading, like I said, on your laptop. Some people like want to watch it and stuff like that. Like a lot of people now, you got, what is it, Audible? You sit there and you listen to a book. You usually want to sit there and read the book. Now you got somebody who'll sit there and read it to you. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, we still get the information and stuff, but wouldn't it have been cool for you to sit down and say, well, I read this book. Oh, I listened to it on Audible. It's a whole different thing to it. In order to read something, you have to comprehend it. You have to, you're reading it, you're looking at the words, you're comprehending it, it's being like downloaded into your brain instead of just listening to the story. But it still was an old school technique too, because back in the day before people could read, people just sit there and tell stories too. But you still got it. But once you could do something independently for yourself, it seems like it's more. So with the whole digital thing, I don't know, it's a choice.
Okay, so I am a firm believer that brick and mortar paper comics should always be there. That's what we should how we should read comics, because that's what I grew up on. That's what I like. But as a creator, as an artist, I'm not getting that like $600 freaking Marvel page rate to do artwork, right? Mm-hmm. And you want to tell your own story, that comes out of your own pocket. Yeah. Sometimes you don't have the money to pay for like the stages, or if you're just doing it on your own, to pay for printing. Mm-hmm. Like straight up, I know they have a lot of like on-demand printing stuff like that. Like printing for comics, like as a indie creator, is so much easier now than it was. But maybe you have a person that isn't confident in it. Maybe their art is great, but they're not confident in the story they're doing. Mm-hmm. So you have places like Webtoons, you have places like what was it, Tapas? You know what I mean? Tapas? I don't think it's the right name. Maybe it is. Anyway, different places to put their webcomic to see how people feel about it. I know several webcomics that have made it from webcomic to paper comic because they kind of got field tested online first. Like, are people interested in this? Is this something people like physically want? You know what I mean? At least they can get their story out, mm-hmm. and then from there, it's like, okay, people like it. And I'm not good at it. We had to do it in school. I'm not good at it, but it's a pretty easy transition for the most part to go from taking your webcomic, which is basically a scrolling thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you have some that are scrolling, then you have some that are like side flips. You know what I mean? So you can actually have like full sequential art in there, mm-hmm. but you can take those scrolling and like break them into pages. Like you can do that in Photoshop. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So you bring up a great point, because that's actually mainly my rebuttal to the whole thing, is because maybe Marvin starts off and he's like, well, I don't have, I work in Walmart and I don't have enough money. I want to have this dream.
It's Burger King.
Wendy's. Popeyes.
Unless you got some.
Popeyes.
So,
I know why you said that, because he's black.
Cheek.
Why you guys?
Wow.
It's okay though.
You eat anywhere, go to Cheeks. It's in New Jersey. It's a chicken and waffles joint.
I like the fact that we did that.
Man.
That's all.
Now I want chicken and waffles.
Look at him.
It's salty. There we go. You know what? I'm really excited that Rico's not salty anymore. He's kind of come out of his skin now. So
No, I hate it. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
You kissed your kids with that mouth?
No.
Here, because we're gonna get a Snickers bar for this episode is sponsored to you by Snickers.
And then check this out. They had DC did a whole web series. You can literally download all of their comic books on your phone. And guess what happened? They ended that entire account, and everybody that bought comic books lost it. If they would have bought that shit, they would have still had it.
You're talking about the DC Universe thing? Was it DC Universe?
Yep.
DC something.
Okay. Let's back up really quick before Rico throws a chair. So going back to the whole theory that if synapsis is that where Marvin, he's a young guy. He's not longer pushing 55, and he wants to go into comics, but he wants to create his own character, but he can't break out because the industry is hard to get into, right?
Yeah.
So he wants to make his own comic, but he doesn't have the financial backing. He doesn't have an investor. He doesn't have all the stuff that you would have to do to get and publish a book. So now he decides, he goes, you know what? I'm a person of the future. I'm a person of technology. I can now draw and ink and everything, and then put it on a webcomic, and get a following. And then from that following, now you can go and get an investor. Now you can get people that would want to do a Kickstarter.
So in other words, you're saying use it as a launch pad.
That's a great idea. I completely
That's
agree
what
with that.
was it Giselle Legace? Sorry if I butchered your name. That's what she did with her books. Laura Olympus is now a like big giant thick book, but that started off as a web comic until there was enough material, enough of a following that they went and printed that book off, and it's beautiful.
And that's a great idea. That's a great way of getting yourself out there as an indie artist. But then you have mainstream comics that they do the same thing. And it's like not only are they're still charging you to do it, to obtain these comics as well, you know? And I'm sorry, like I love my indie artists. I love the culture of being an indie comic book artist. But in any comic book shop in America or across the world, you're going to see mainstream comic books in every comic book. Most likely, you're going to have a section of indie artists, but overall, you're going to have a mainstream comic book shop.
I will say there are some places that their section of indie comics is very minimal.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
Yeah.
So first, like, just a quick interjection, I'm glad that you have an entire row for us.
Thank you.
Like, I appreciate that.
And yeah, you're welcome, guys. You're welcome. I love you guys, man. Indie art is the best. But organic comic book, when you're a mainstream company and you're pumping out you're pumping out web comics, for what, man? Like, for what?
You think maybe they're trying to do it so you can reach people that may not be able to get to a comic book shop?
That's also true too, Chris. You have brought up something very wise. Go on, sir.
So, like, for instance, I read manga also.
Okay.
Right? So, like, I'll read the Dragon Ball manga. I'll read One Punch. You know, I love my One Punch, guy over there, Sakuma. But the book will come out, and then they'll have an English translation in the week after, and I can read it right away versus waiting 6 to 8 months, and then I now can be in the know as far as what's going on, and now I can go ahead and talk about something and be in the loop as opposed to waiting another 6 to 8 months for it to come out.
But you're talking about reading the English version, right?
I'm talking about reading the book in general. Like, I'm talking about manga as far as waiting for a translation, but I also can say, if I'm in the middle of, say, Florida, or if I'm in the middle of Alabama, and I moved there for the middle of Colorado, wherever, that doesn't have a comic book shop. Before finding, where a comic book shop is, I would go, miles and miles driving around. So, whereas I can go online and say, plug in, marvel.com, I don't know what the website is, dc.com, and then I can have a subscription to those. I can read it on my computer or my phone, whatever, my tablet, whatever it is. But granted, if I ran into a comic book shop, guess what? I'm running into the comic book shop, and I'm going to buy all the issues that I want. But on a day-to-day basis, I might not be able to have that leisure of getting to that store. Maybe I might have that leisure of getting there. So if I can subscribe to a subscription where I can still want to be in the know, like, I don't always read comics now because I don't have the time or the luxury to do those. Sometimes I'll just watch videos and about what's going on with those, so I can still be in the know. So I still want to know about those characters because I have invested in interest in those characters. So I'll listen to Comics Explained about, like,
shout out to Rob, by the way.
Shout out to Rob Corp.
Comic Book Explained. All right, I don't mean to cut you off, but Comic Book Explained. I do watch Comic Book Explained, and it's just because I can't read everything, and people ask me about every comic book that comes out, and sometimes I have that in the background while reading another comic book.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's your job.
Well,
Your
yeah.
job is sit there and know every page of
Yeah.
every comic that you have here.
And
You have one job.
right, I do, right? But but like I guess with me it's like it's just I grew up. It was passed down from my parents to me. And if I believe in the 90s or in the 80s, if they had web comic books of however they could do that, I believe comic books would have died out so much, such a long time ago. And I feel like, we're losing that. Get off your cell phone.
Once upon a time, we used to send mail by carrier pigeon. So should we?
No, I'm not saying
Yes.
go that
Go back to
extreme.
that. That was great.
I'm just saying like this like comic books is a part of history. It's a big part of history. And I understand, thank you, pop culture. Boom. And I understand that times are going forward. I understand the electric age is now. We're living in it, and it's only going to be more diverse in the future. Well, not diverse, but you know what I mean. More needed, more, just a way of life. And but we can still hold on to some kind of classic or some kind of culture or just something that's authentic that brings us back down to human beings instead of laptops and screens, and it's in the palm of your hand. If we can hold on to something that keeps us human, a comic book would.
Well, like I said, I listen to Comics Explained. I also listen to the Comic Storian too. Both of those guys, they both if you miss something, or if they'll give you like the whole issue of all of them. And I mean, they'll sit there and tell you, and they'll let you look through the comics and everything. But that's their show and stuff like that. So, and I mean, that's cool. If you're like, oh, I never got finished reading all that, and then you jump back in, they'll give you another. Oh, so that's how they ended. I'm gonna put it like this: on both ends, either one is good. Like you explained, if you can't get to a comic book shop, because that's a dying thing, the comic book shop. But if you still a comic book head and you still can get in there and you could listen to it digitally and stuff like that, it's still cool where you can still get it. It's like power. It's neither good or evil. It depends on how you wield it.
Right.
You don't let one kill out the other. You know what I'm saying? Because some people like to still come in the comic book shop and just hang out. You know what I'm saying? That's that vibe. I had my son, he used to come to the comic book shop and we just want to chill out, go check out a comic book and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But you can't get that if you just on your phone. You can't get that vibe, and it's like I say, it's still warranted, it's still there, it's still a necessary thing, but like you say, times are changing and you got to keep up. So everything is progressing and going and changing, but some things can still remain the same too. You still have a comic book shop, but you also have somebody who wants to read it digitally. So I mean, you just have to be able to, how can I say, maneuver and stay up with the changes that as future comes. Yeah, it's a dance. So the comic book itself, paperback will never go completely out. I don't think it will ever happen.
No, and
No, because the collector is always going to make that happen. And like where the newspaper and stuff like that. A comic book is something totally different. Newspapers and stuff. Remember, you used to have to do newspaper stands on every corner and stuff like that. Now you just pick up the thing and hopefully they give you real news, and it's not some person on their website saying, "Well, I just heard this," and they ain't got no facts to back it up and stuff. But something with a comic book that's entertainment. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, it's neither bad. Web comics are neither bad, and it's good and it's bad, because like say like Rico was saying, that it could like take away more from coming into the comic book shop. But then again, like you say you in Timbuktu and they ain't got no comic book shop nowhere around, but you still want to keep up with your book on and still want to stay up with who you watching. I know you like Hardcore Chronicles of the Hit Squad, that guy, you know what I'm saying? You want to keep up with him, you know what I'm saying?
Please tell me you don't have a webcomic.
No, I don't. I thought about it, but but what I was gonna do. No, but what I was gonna do was use it as a launch pad, though.
Right.
Just to get started. That's why I say use it as a launch pad. I thought about that. Then raise up, get your group. Then you're like, boom, there's the paperback. You know what I'm saying? And go from there.
That's
but
worked for some people.
and that, like I said, that has worked.
for some
So
people
you
to
can't
use
look at
that
it as a
to build
bad
a
thing.
following.
Yeah. So, but it's not a bad. No, it's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. But I know you as the businessman with the comic book shop, you still want people to come in. You're not gonna lose that. You're still gonna get that person that it's a comic book shop here. That boy coming in. Oh, I love reading comics. And if sit down and you can chill and read a comic. I mean, it's still happening at what? Don't Barnes and Nobles? They still got comic books in there too.
They sell comics, and I actually had a conversation about this the other day about they sell comics, and mostly paperbacks.
Yeah, they sell, and
trades.
you can still come in there. You grab one, boom, sit down on the couch, and you can read it.
People
and the
look at
graphic
you
novel.
weird when you do it. But
Yeah. And so it's never gonna go out of style. And as long as some people with imagination, like AI, is not gonna end the original mind of the creator. Computers can never outdo, like just like they say, if for something that's handcrafted, that's made by a person hand, that all people always gonna pay more for that instead of just the assembly line stuff. Boom, boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? So
like, that may be hot now,
yeah,
but like in a minute, it's
it's gonna be like, oh, that, and then people are gonna be able to tell it soon, like, oh, that's an AI story. But you know,
like cryptocurrency,
yeah. What? That didn't happen. No.
Excuse me.
like stamps. Yeah, I don't know. Just food stamps.
Oh, my bad, guys. Sorry
Those
about
never
that.
go out of style.
Those will never go out.
Like those horseless carriages.
You know what? We're gonna take you behind the barn here soon, there, Mr. Horseless Carriage. But you know what though?
Put 'em
You
out
still,
in the pasture.
you know what though? Now you say that though. You say about the horseless carriage though, but guess what? You still pay money for, a lot of people still pay money to go ride in the carriage
Yep.
with the horse on special events and occasion, and you're gonna pay more to get that person to bring them two damn horses out there and pull that stagecoach than just hopping in your car and be like, bye, we just married. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, great, ride off in your Hyundai because that's what you got. But
it's nostalgia.
okay, then, and that's one thing you can always build off of nostalgia.
I
You
just
can
wanna put it out
always
there.
have.
People do it because it's romantic. You got a horse-drawn carriage and whatnot. But I also think McDonald's nuggets are romantic stuff.
Is that what you're doing, Chris? Are you smelling that?
You know, last week every McDonald's in town ran out of McNuggets, chicken nuggets.
Probably because my daughter went to go get them.
For real,
What do you mean they ran out?
they just ran out. Yeah,
What?
the one on 41 ran out. The one on Kings Highway ran out of chicken nuggets.
You know what else happened at McDonald's?
I was like, yo, stop.
That McFlurry machine is always broke. That ice cream machine.
I remember dude. There was last week I went to McDonald's and they gave me a canned Coca-Cola, and I was like, "Yo, what's the fuck?"
It's the apocalypse. Apocalypse is
I,
happening.
for real, I asked for a large Coke and they gave me 2 cans of soda.
They said maybe if you just
I was like, what
pull
the
up
fuck
on the
is this?
screen, you'll see it. You can just imagine it.
Wow. So you're just. So
I'm just trying to wrangle it, and Rico kind of goes
You're
off
harsh.
script sometimes, you know.
It's pretty good at Culver's.
Oh, speaking of which, I'm gonna go off tangent right here because
Really?
Culver's. Did you know the amazing hack of Culver's?
No.
You go get a Happy Meal. With that Happy Meal, it's the same burger, same fries. You still get a drink, but on the bag you get a free ice cream.
Yep.
And every 10 coupons, it comes with a coupon.
Yeah.
And it comes with a coupon. Every 10, you get a free meal. And on that free meal, you get
You get a
another
coupon.
ice cream. So if you gotta go with like 4 of us,
Let's go to Covert.
huh?
Let's go. Let's go right now.
You're buying.
Let's just get up and go to
All
Covert.
right, that's it, guys. All right, good job.
And we're done.
So yeah, amazing hack. So like, if you ever go to Culver, just get a Happy Meal. Yeah, not a Happy Meal. Kid drink. But anyway,
Yeah.
I was finna say, how you gonna pick Culver's with McDonald's, sir? That was a freaking fuck up right there, man. That was a fuck up.
So yeah, so if you live near Culver's, just buy. I almost did it again. Anyway, guys, what do we? All right, so sorry. So we had Jose today here. We had Jose as an amazing guest. We talked about his Obsolete comics. We talked about getting into art. You know, what took him getting there, and we talked about more in depth on independent comics. I know we've kind of talked about this a few times about just to go to show you guys and show the audience how much we appreciate the art, appreciate the effort everyone goes and puts their heart and soul into these comics.
You're welcome, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
Except for Marvin, you know, he just kind of slaps things together. And then you have we talked about webcomics, right?
Violence.
We talked about. I think we kind of turned Rico a little bit. Rico's trying to like turn his head a little bit. He's like,
Yeah, bro.
"Ah."
A little bit.
He's like, I'm gonna be out of
Little bit.
business.
I see
but
it. I see the hamsters run. Not
I don't
the,
like it. I don't
the
like it.
consciousness. You don't have to like it.
You don't have to
But
like it.
I have to
understand.
accept it.
Appreciate
Well, you have
it.
to accept it, and you have to understand at least a little bit.
But yeah,
that
it does make
it
sense.
has helped people that when they can't get to, like, say, a printer, or they can't get, they're only like showing it to their local people, right?
Yes.
Like, I mean, I've done various conventions in various like cities and states, right? But some people can't do that. Like, I mean, it's pricey. It's pricey to do the big conventions.
Yeah.
So if you can do a webcomic, hand out some QR codes and whatnot, you can at least build a following, and that's anywhere. Online, that's anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys. So this is going to wrap up episode 4 of Popping Through Culture. If you guys like what you hear, you know if those really riveting through your ears, and you're enjoying what you're listening to, and you're watching Marvin's eyes pop out of his head every 5 seconds, make sure you like and subscribe, guys. Your support means a lot to us. Leave a comment down. What do you think about webcomics? What do you guys think about indie comics? Or what do you guys recommend? Any kind of indie comics? And obviously, don't recommend webcomics because
At least not to Rico.
because Rico will come and find you and
Rico will find you in the middle of the night and choke you with a comic book.
I'll break your cell phone.
I'll break your phone and leave
Straight
a comic
up.
book instead.
How about we gotta get to know Jose. Jose, look into that camera right there.
Okay.
And let them know the future of Silverline.
Also,
Let them
where
know
they
the
can
future
find you,
of
all those information.
Obsolete,
Right.
where they can find you, how they can get in touch with you, and
All right.
make
Well,
it. Yeah.
Also, give your bank account
Obsoletes.
number, too.
Obsoletes. You can pick up at Reflection Comics in Punta Gorda.
Where?
Punta Gorda, Florida.
Yeah.
Punta Gorda, Florida. And other local shops. My social media stuff is Jose A. Fuentes Art, and that's on Facebook and on Instagram. And what else did you ask?
Your bank account number.
Oh yes. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Tell us-
Gotcha.
Hey, really quick question. We're talking about local shops, and you know your book being here in Reflection Comics.
Located where?
In Punta Gorda, Florida. Does it cost you any more, or is there a cost difference as opposed to doing something locally, or as opposed to like shipping it out to a comic book shop in California or a comic book shop in
That would
Midtown
be a
Comics?
great question for my publisher.
Next time.
I would imagine that because you still have to pay postage, right? You still have to pay postage to ship things out. A lot of what Silverline has done to get the books that we've done is almost every book has been crowdfunded, and so I think we have like 20 something successful crowdfunds, and we have another one coming up at the end of the month, beginning of next month. I think it's beginning of next month. But you can keep tabs on that. Silverline Comics has a newsletter, and I think you can go to silverlinecomics.com. I believe is the website, and they've got our bios and stuff like that on there, our social media stuff, and just like what books we put out. I say we, it's not just I work for Silverline. Like I work with them. I just went to do a convention with my publisher and a fellow inker. It's definitely a family. You know what I mean? When you work together, it's not just like, this guy's working with this guy. It's like we check up on each other. We see how each other's doing. We communicate, and you know what I mean. If someone's having issues, we're like, hey, let's lift them up. Let's
Sure.
So it's definitely a family. So when I speak, I don't speak as an owner or anything. I speak as a family member of Silverline. I love it. I love that connection, that camaraderie, that that care for each other and love for the comics that we put out. So, but yeah, Silverline Comics, Jose A. Fuentes Art on Facebook and Instant Messenger, or the Facebook and Instagram, and that's about it. That's the only.
Yeah, we'll put you on the graphic. down
Awesome.
There, so we'll throw all the information on there.
Access to your bank account.
My PIN number is Abacadabra.
That's 1, 2, 3.
And Mr. Marvin McDonald. Anything you want to leave these guys with? Any
Wisdom, share the
encouraging words?
I would encourage you not to do web stuff in front of Rico because it can be dangerous.
It can.
And that is it, because
Right?
Rico is dangerous.
Yeah. Have a.
He's cracking his knuckles right now.
If you love comics, have a passion for comics, either read them, make them, or
Eat 'em.
eat them.
I eat comics. Anyway,
Rico.
Chris.
That was like a serious
Wow, he jumped out of that when he woke up. He's like, hello.
I love
Tomato
it.
sauce, someone.
Hey, man, I'm getting tired of eating all this crap around here.
What? You're eating?
You don't eat
He wants to eat.
He wants
Oh.
Come buy comics. He wants to eat.
Yeah, right? I need it.
Too much color.
I gotta say, Chris,
Yeah, Chris, how do you want
how do you keep your hair so manageable and bouncy?
It was kind of like scratchy today.
I'm
Honestly.
gonna put hair nair in his shampoo from here and there.
That's what?
No, no.
Nair.
You'll see
Wow,
it.
you guys are rough. Bunch of haters, I swear. Whatever. No, guys. I really enjoyed this episode. I think we flushed out a lot of things. We flushed out the anger and hatred of web comics for Rico.
Yeah, I feel so much better.
I don't think I've seen this side of Rico in the short amount of time we've been friends now. But it's cool because things. Sometimes you gotta bring the passion to the surface.
Yeah.
To really flush out those issues.
Brings out the comic book in your eye.
So,
It's dangerous.
so anything for you, Rico?
Yeah. I'm Rico Thompson. This is Reflection Comics presents Pop Into Culture. You got Mr. Mink and Nerdy. You got Marvin McDonald, Hardcore, Swerveverse, and you have Jose Fuentes. And read comics and share comics. Can't share cell phones, but you can share comic books. Other than that, this is a wrap up to issue 4. And next
Next week?
next
No, 2
ne-
weeks?
in
2
2
weeks?
weeks, next episode, we're gonna be talking about
Toys.
toys, and we're gonna bring
What kind
who onto
Jedi-
the show?
We got Jedi Jack.
Jedi Jack.
We got
Jedi,
Jedi Jack.
we got the Jedi himself. What kind of toys are you talking about?
But basically, he does toy photography and diorama building, and we're gonna talk about the evolution. I would like to talk about the evolution
That is some.
Oh.
And the price of evolution. I want to talk about that.
and the mobility of what toys went from to where they are.
I just want to say about that Jedi Jack. He did some stuff for 8 Ball. It's incredible. The man is awesome. He's a dynamic creature. Yes, very well. And we will interview him.
We're out of here.
This is MD McDonald from Swerve Comics on the back end of Rico here at Reflection Comics. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Tune in next week for the next exciting adventures of damn, them 4 idiots still stand up there talking, and we'll get it in.
That's it. That's the.
Hey guys, really quick.
What the fuck?
You okay?
Yeah.
You okay?
I wanted that to be at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
hate you.
No, I really.
I like to put it there. I hate you.